Hi parents, it's Mary Valentic, the TroubleShooter Autism Tutor, returning to you again today for another discussion about autism. Today I'd like to speak with you about temper tantrums. See if I can shed some light on them for you. They do seem mysterious to most parents. They seem to come out of the blue and be about nothing, but really what I want you to know is they're usually about something. And parents, if you would, after you're through mediating the temper tantrum, which could last 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours, who knows how long. You know what I'm talking about if you've been through them. What I'd like you to keep in mind is after you are through mediating the tantrum, I'd like you to sit down and try to recall what happened just before the temper tantrum, because if you can remember that, and I would record it in a journal if I were you, or a log, because it's very easy to forget those things, especially if they're happening frequently and your life is turned upside down, as it may well be with a child or more than one child with autism. You're going to forget, completely what it was about. So give some thought to what you believe happened just before the temper tantrum, and you will begin to see a pattern as you develop your list. You will begin to see a pattern of triggers. Once you realize what the triggers are causing your children's tantrums, you can then use that information to avoid situations where a trigger would be likely and really improve your lives. And you might be able to spend your time in another way rather than mediating a temper tantrum. So it's really quite important for you to do this for your own self-preservation and that of your family, not to mention for the benefit of your child having the temper tantrum. So please take this into consideration. Give this a try. Usually what I'm finding with tantrums, not always, but in many cases, there's some social injustice that's just been done before a temper tantrum. Kids are not really able to express themselves. They're either misunderstanding something, or they feel like they're being blamed for something that they really didn't do or wasn't justified. And you need to be on the lookout for that as well, because that could also be a trigger. But it could be, the slightest thing. It usually involves a misunderstanding on the child's part. So be sensitive to, try to train yourself to look for these things, and remember to think about it. What happened just before the tantrum, and jot it down so you can have a record to find the pattern, and then use that as a tool to avoid situations where a tantrum might be triggered. But also, what that list is going to do for you is to establish what your child needs to work on as far as therapy goes. So let's say you notice there's a particular thing that triggers your child. You may want to avoid it in the short term, but in the long term, you're going to have to confront that issue with a therapist and make sure that your child can handle those situations. So this is twofold. It's avoiding the situations that trigger the temper tantrums in the short term, and in the long run, using that information to make a therapy list for your child, different situations that you want to work on, different things that your child needs to confront and become okay with. If your child is throwing tantrums in a crowd, you might want to avoid a crowd initially, which is part one of what I'm saying. But part two is, this becomes a tool for therapy. This knowledge of what your child is doing what your child can't accept, it becomes a list for something you can work on with the therapist. How do I help my child handle a crowd situation or a situation where there's noise? And because, without confronting these issues, your child will always behave in the same manner. So you're going to want to see probably a behavioral specialist to alter those behaviors. But use the knowledge. Use the knowledge to benefit you, your family, and your child. And that is my message for you today. This is Mary Valentic, the TroubleShooter Autism Tutor, signing off for the moment, but I will be back. Bye. Take care.